This is an overview of some events that have happened in the past week or so. We're discussing the fact that about February 11th there was 3 different astrological events that took place. People heard about the snow moon, and this is an event where you had a perennial moon, which is like a quarter moon. It's not even a half moon. Yeah, that was like a lunar eclipse. And then there was also there's a meteor shower, which I did not actually see that myself. And the third event is what I really waited up to see myself in the evening. I went to grab my camera, and I got about maybe 3 or 4 minutes footage of the comet that came, they said, within 7 million miles of Earth. They said it started about 3 a.m. on February 12th on Saturday morning, and they said if you wanted to see it, you had to look up in the sky, and it was going to be yellow in color, which it was. And so after waiting for about, I guess, maybe an hour and a half, by 2 o'clock you saw it in the morning sky. And I never saw a tail. They said the tail would probably be green in color, but it wasn't, because I never saw it. And so for me, I figured, well, there goes that chance to see anything of the comet itself. The most visible comet we've had in the last 20 years was the Halley's Comet, the Hale-Bopp. It had a very distinctive comet trail. Unfortunately, at that time, there were no digital cameras, except, those that you could buy were fixed focus, which means you couldn't manually adjust the focus yourself. You had to depend on the machine to do it for you. So it was kind of disquieting, if not kind of disappointing, that you didn't get to see more of it. But in the future, whenever I do my videos, I will try to post other videos on other such events that people see, or if there's some event astrologically in the skies that happened and I can videotape it, I'll try to post it on my channel. But primarily, I wanted to just let everybody know that there is a lot of things happening in the world today that aren't good. And what happened, as you know, last year in Syria, specifically Aleppo, I've been trying on every video to give a memorial, a dedication to Omran Daqneesh. We don't know if he's dead or alive. I pray he's alive. I pray that he's safe wherever his parents took him. There's a video I've done already on my channel as an update about what I've learned since he disappeared. And they said in January his mother and father were still alive, and they fled out of Aleppo, but instead of trying to evacuate out of the country, they say they fled into northern Syria to get away from the rebel forces. And they say all of that area of Syria is actually under the control of Assad's forces. His own people are up there. So now there's this big question mark. Assad was saying right after the video was released of Omran being rescued, he said the whole thing was fake. That could be why, after all this time, Assad himself hasn't tried to attempt to find Omran to prove to the world, yeah, it is happening. I mean, Assad himself isn't actually the one doing the attacks. It's mostly from the Russians bombing the city. That would imply to me that he has some sort of an indirect assistance from the Russians, that they haven't been trying to retaliate against Russia since they did it. So when he tells the world, oh, this whole thing was fake, it didn't happen, there was no such thing, there was nothing that took place, you have to question, what are they saying? Are they saying that it really was true, but it's not true? Because he's embarrassed enough, he don't want to discuss it with the world of why, as the leader of Syria, he could not protect his own people. You know, I think that's why he was telling everyone, this is a falsity, it's a fake story, it's not real. And I don't believe it. Because when I looked at Omran's picture, that's not makeup on his face, that's real. The blood that was on his face, on this side of his face, that was real. That was real blood on his face. I think it's exactly the way we saw it. They pulled him out of the wreckage of his home. They carried him, instead of giving him humanitarian first aid. I mean, you would think, this is a child, we should get him to the hospital. They didn't. They took him to the ambulance. But the people who took the photographs said, we want the world to see what's really happening here. And, you know, it's wrong to tell the world things are going on, but then you don't give them updates. You don't try to tell them what's been happening since. The media are procrastinators about doing those kinds of things. They want the ratings, but they don't want to be fair enough to tell the world, this is what happened to this child, or this is what happened about this story or that story. The only thing you ever see about the media doing coverage or follow-ups is stories that relate to maybe right here in America, but they don't discuss things in other countries. And I say that because I've just now heard that we have American military in Syria. We have actual troops there. And my question is, if they're there, why can't our people find out where are all the survivors who fled Aleppo? Why can't we find out where did Omran go to after he left the city with his parents? People are going to say, oh, well, we don't need to know anything about him because, you know, he is entitled to his own privacy. That's true, but I think to put closure to what happened to him, it's unfair to the millions of people all over this world who saw his picture and not to tell us, where is he now, what happened to him. And there's got to be a half a dozen ways to do that, since we have our own people there in the country of Syria. And now they're saying we're going to be sending more troops, and we know they're doing the airstrikes to stop ISIS. So that ought to be a priority to our government. We should say, if we're going in there and we're going to try to liberate those areas in Syria where ISIS had control, we ought to be doing a serious, not investigation, but just a follow-up on finding out about things that everybody in the world saw, and try to put closure to it and tell the world why we still don't know what happened to him. Because we don't. We still don't know where is Omran to this day. And you had people like Hillary Clinton during the campaign last year. She talked about it twice during the debates she had with Trump. She kept talking about Omran's picture. And, you know, if it affected the politicians, you think, well, there's got to be a serious interest in wanting to know where he is, what happened to him. And you don't hear the politicians, you don't hear the military, you don't hear any foreign dignitaries or other diplomats from other nations that have to do with Syria saying we should find him, we should find out where he is. And I have myself written to Pope Francis, and I've asked him, you know, if not anything else, pray for him. And when Pope John Paul II was the Pope, I did write to him, I think, one time, and you know what? I did hear from his office. It wasn't actually a letter from him, but they cared enough in the Vatican to respond to every letter they got. And now it's like, I think Francis is so preoccupied with keeping civil attitudes about certain subjects, like, you know, this push on homosexuality all over the world and the acceptance of gay marriage and all the rest, that he has kind of thwarted the idea to talk about other issues that have as much value and interest to people. And that's what I did in my letters. I asked Francis at least 2 different times, Pope Francis, I said, where is this little boy? Why haven't y'all tried to find out where he went to? Where, how is he doing now? And you don't get an answer. And I know Trump is in transition, so obviously he doesn't have anybody probably answering his letters or his mail that he gets. It's a joke. I wrote to Obama 2 different times before he left office. He says he answers all his email that he gets. That's a lie, because all I got was a standard generalized answer statement saying, I have authorized my people to be transparent about us doing operation as government. In other words, it's a general way of saying, we got your letter, but we're not going to care enough to answer, because we're only emphasizing certain ones that we want to answer and not everybody, because we don't think everybody's important. And so that's what Obama does with the emails he gets. And with Trump, hopefully it's going to be a lot better, because Trump is following the law. He's not using his position as president to manipulate how the law is supposed to work, because that's what Obama did. So this is kind of like partially an interest video, and also it's a personal interest of mine to say to those who watch it that I'm not the only person in the world who saw his picture. I'm not the only one in the world who's worried about Omran. There are a lot of people, millions of people. And I don't know if anybody else is saying it on YouTube or other social media outlets, where is he? But I am, because I want people to try to influence or interest this sort of thing to those who have the authority to do investigations, to try to find out where he is. And I'm hoping that's what they'll do, because he deserves to be, we deserve to know where he is, to know what happened to him. The Aleppo Media Center wrote to me a couple of times after I emailed them, and they said every day there's a new Omran. And it's like, yes, I know that. That's why I'm praying for all the children in Aleppo. But if you're gonna talk about this one child and that one story, and then you never tell people what happened to him, then you leave everybody wondering, where is he? What happened? Where is he today? And this 6-year-old boy in America who was, allowed to come to Washington to talk to Obama, that's a PR. That's public relations. That's all he did that for. He had no interest at all to find out where Omran was, to try to get him out of Syria and get him here to the United States. This is really where, of any of the refugees from Syria, Omran deserves to come to this country. And I think someday, I pray, we'll hear from him or his parents, and they'll say, this is how Omran looks today, and at least put closure to, the fact that he's still alive and he is somewhere, and he's in a safe place. And you can do that without really jeopardizing your position or where you are or your own safety. So, thank you for allowing me to share this with you. And I hope that we all will find out where is Omran.